There is something inside your refrigerator right now costing you over $1,000 a year. Not a broken seal, not a faulty thermostat. The walls themselves. The plastic-lined interior of every modern refrigerator on the market actively accelerates the decay of everything you store inside it. A $3 piece of copper wire changes that. Ancient civilizations knew this. University researchers confirmed it. And a $300 billion industry has spent 40 years making sure you never found out. The United States Department of Agriculture estimates the average American household throws away approximately $1,000 worth of food every single year. 30 to 40% of every grocery purchase ends up in the trash. Fruits rot within days. Vegetables collapse by midweek. Leftovers grow mold before the weekend. The food industry calls this a consumer behavior problem. It is not a behavior problem. It is an engineering failure. And the engineering solution was discovered 4,000 years ago. What destroys your produce is not time. It is a molecule called ethylene. Every piece of fruit and every vegetable you own is producing it right now, sitting inside your refrigerator at this exact moment. It is invisible, odorless, and biologically catastrophic to fresh food. Ethylene is the ripening hormone, the chemical signal that tells living organic matter to surrender, and copper stops it cold. Stay with me, because what laboratory researchers documented inside a sealed refrigerator changes everything you think you know about how long your food is actually supposed to last. The year is 2400 BC. Along the same Nile River valley where Egyptian healers were storing drinking water in copper vessels to keep wounded soldiers alive, a parallel discovery is taking shape in the grain stores and food caches of the ancient world. Grain preserved in copper-lined vessels stays edible dramatically longer than grain stored in clay or wood. Meat hung near copper surfaces resists the mold and bacterial blooms that destroyed food stores in warmer months. The Egyptians have no concept of ionic chemistry, no electron microscope, no food science laboratory, but they can observe the result with devastating clarity. Copper preserves. Everything else rots. The Romans engineer this principle directly into their food distribution network. Wine and olive oil transported across the Mediterranean in copper-treated storage vessels arrives months later still drinkable, still viable, still worth trading. Wine in untreated clay turns to vinegar at sea. Wine in copper-lined vessels survives the voyage. Roman merchants who understand this grow wealthy. Roman merchants who ignore it go bankrupt. Every major civilization that develops long-distance food storage independently reaches the identical conclusion across centuries of accumulated evidence. Copper in contact with food storage environments extends organic shelf life, not by a small margin. The question these civilizations never answered was why. Understanding why took until the modern era. And when scientists finally examined the mechanism at the molecular level, the answer revealed something the food preservation industry had every financial reason to keep very quiet. When copper comes into contact with moisture and air, it continuously releases positively charged particles called cupric ions. These ions are biologically hostile at concentrations too small to see, taste, or detect without laboratory instruments. They penetrate bacteria cell walls, disrupt the enzyme processes that allow microorganisms to reproduce, and systematically dismantle the biological machinery of decay. Independent university researchers studying copper behavior in enclosed environments documented bacterial contamination reductions exceeding 97% within 24 hours. No chemical spray, no ultraviolet light, no filter cartridge requiring replacement every 60 days. Just copper, doing exactly what copper has always done. But the bacteria story is only half of what is happening inside your refrigerator. Remember ethylene, the molecule destroying your produce while you sleep? Ethylene does not just originate from one item and stop. It accumulates in enclosed spaces. One overripe apple releasing ethylene gas inside a closed crisper drawer is a biological accelerant for everything stored beside it. The gas it emits triggers the ripening and decay cascade in every neighboring piece of produce simultaneously. This is not speculation. It is documented plant biology taught in every agricultural science program on Earth. Here is where this story becomes extraordinary. Copper ions interfere directly with the ethylene mechanism. Agricultural scientists confirmed decades ago that copper-based compounds inhibit the ethylene receptors in plant tissue, interrupting the chemical signal that commands living organic material to accelerate its own death. The commercial floriculture industry has quietly exploited this exact principle for 50 years to extend the shelf life of cut flowers in cold storage facilities. The mechanism is peer-reviewed, repeatedly published, and used professionally every single day inside industrial refrigeration systems that serve the same grocery stores selling you those disposable ethylene-absorbing packets at the checkout counter. String, the global food packaging and preservation market, is worth over $80 billion annually. The packaged food industry generates $300 billion per year, a system built entirely on predictable consumption cycles. When a household throws away 30% of its groceries every single week, that household repurchases 30% of its groceries every single week. That repurchase rate is not a consumer failure. It is a designed revenue stream built on engineered perishability. The mass transition from metal-lined refrigerator interiors to fully plastic ABS liners accelerated through the 1970s and deepened through the 1980s, driven entirely by manufacturing cost reduction. Metal-adjacent refrigerator designs existed. They were tested. They were replaced, not because plastic performed better at keeping food biologically viable, but because plastic was cheaper to produce at scale. Consumers were never told that anything of value had been removed from the design. By the time food waste became a visible public crisis in the early 2000s, the decision had already been made and quietly locked into every appliance sitting in every kitchen on the market. Read that again. The interior of your refrigerator was redesigned to reduce manufacturing costs, not to keep your food alive longer. And in the process, a 4,000-year-old preservation advantage was engineered out of your kitchen without a word. Here is what $3 of copper wire does that your existing refrigerator cannot. Copper ions work continuously in an enclosed space. They do not expire, degrade, or require replacement. Commercial ethylene-absorbing produce packets, sold at $4 to $5 each at the checkout line, address one mechanism of decay and require repurchase every 30 days. A copper coil addresses bacterial populations and the ethylene cascade simultaneously, and it continues functioning for years without a single additional purchase. You cannot sell a subscription on something that works indefinitely for $3. And what cannot generate recurring revenue cannot be allowed to be common knowledge. Here is exactly what to do. Purchase 14-gauge bare copper wire from any hardware store. The same wire sold for standard electrical work. Cut approximately 60 centimeters. Coil it loosely, not compressed against itself, not wrapped around any produce. Place it open inside the crisper drawer of your refrigerator. Allow 24 hours for the ion environment to establish inside the closed drawer. For whole refrigerator coverage, hang a longer coil from the back shelf of the main compartment. Copper does not need direct contact with your food to function. The ion field it generates inside an enclosed space does the work passively, continuously, and invisibly. Produce that normally lasts 3 days lasts a week. Greens that wilt by Wednesday hold through the weekend. Berries that mold in 4 days stay clean for 10. For a household spending $200 a week on groceries and discarding 30%, that copper coil recovers $60 in weekly food waste. $3 in wire. $60 a week recovered. Over $2,000 a year that stays in your household instead of going to the landfill and straight back to the grocery store. 4,000 years ago, civilizations preserved food in copper because they observed that it worked. A $300 billion industry modernized your refrigerator and quietly removed the one material that was actually keeping your food alive. The Egyptians knew. The Romans knew. Agricultural researchers confirmed the mechanism in peer-reviewed journals. The solution costs $3, fits in a drawer, and lasts for years. The food waste crisis is not a behavior problem. It never was. It was a design decision someone else made for you, for reasons that had nothing to do with keeping your food alive. If this changed how you think about what is sitting in your refrigerator right now, hit subscribe.